passage. And in doing a reading passage, we're going to go over with you the method and the skills of how we go through doing a particular reading passage. First of all, before we get started, let's go ahead and keep in mind that our basic skills and strategy are that we don't read the whole reading passage. We don't begin reading the passage. We begin immediately with the questions. So on your actual exam, you should scroll down on the right side of the screen and immediately go to the first question. Remember, our goal is to be efficient when doing a reading comprehension passage and to focus on using the skills and strategies that we have. All right, so if we're doing this reading passage that we're doing, this is from the free set from the TOEFL iBT Quick Prep. This is available for any student to see for free. And what we're doing is just walking through our method and strategy so you can see and understand how to answer questions. Because that's the goal. You want to know, how do I answer the questions? How do I do it efficiently? How do I make sure I get the questions right? And so we're just going to walk through with you our methodology. So let's go to this first question. The word massive in paragraph 1 is closest in meaning to what? Alright, so massive is a pretty straightforward word that you probably know. But if you don't know the word massive, let's go up and take a look. Here it is right here. So with vocabulary questions, it's important for us, we can look at context, we can use substitution, we can look at the verbs, we can take out and look at the root word, but here, some words within the sentence itself will help us get a good idea of what the word massive is referring to. We have here where it talks about a great market. We have here a large number. And so we get a good idea that we're dealing in this sentence with something big. So those other words can help you get a good feeling for what the word massive is referring to. And so words that mean big or something very big, ancient, no, that would be incorrect. Carefully planned is no, that's incorrect. Very large is incorrect also. Well, so very large is our answer. Very large is our answer. And carefully protected is wrong. So the answer for number 1 is very large because it means massive, large numbers, or it's related to also great. So that's our answer for number 1. Now, number 2. In paragraph 1, each of the following is mentioned as a feature of the city of, hard word there, Teotihuacan, between AD 150 and 700 except. Okay, so what we have here is we have us an except not least question. Okay? And with an except not least question, it's very straightforward. Our keywords are in the answer choices. And basically we have to go and look in the passage and see if we find those particular answers. Sometimes they use synonym language, and so you have to match it up. Now remember, we have 2 different kinds of except not least questions. We have the except not least question where all the answers are found within one sentence, and we have the except not least question where all the answers are found in different sentences. Okay, so let's go up and take a look. Our first one we're dealing with are regular arranged streets, and our keywords in the question are features of the city. Features of the city, which can help us know what to look for. Alright, so here I see regular grid pattern of streets and buildings. So I know regular grid pattern of streets and buildings is the same thing as looking at regularly arranged streets. Number 2 talked about several administrative centers spread across the city. Several administrative centers spread across the city. Alright, so here I see administrative center, but it says an administrative center. All right, and administrative center. And is not the same as several. So I know that B is the correct answer choice. Several administrative centers is not mentioned. So really on the actual exam, we would advise you, since you found the answer, move on to the next question immediately. Okay, move on immediately to the next question. But for those of you that got this one wrong, here we see 2,000 apartment complexes, so we know D is incorrect. And we see a large number of industrial workshops. That's synonym for many manufacturing workshops. So we know our answer is going to be, our correct answer is going to be B. Okay? Number 3, another vocabulary question. The word pinpoint in paragraph 2 is closest in meaning to what? Pinpoint. Okay? So let's go up and look here. Let's see. Here we go. Paragraph 2. So keep in mind that when you're doing reading comprehension, questions go in chronological order. And that's very helpful. Very, very helpful, because you know they're going to go straight down through the passage in terms of being able to find where the next information is. All right, so let's look here. Here we have the word pinpoint. If you don't know what this word means, keep in mind, normally there's going to be a word inside the sentence or context that can help you with doing it. So here it says the exact role of other factors is much more difficult to pinpoint. Keywords to help me understand what this word means: exact role. That's the subject. The exact role of other factors. Exact roles. Now, so I know what the word exact means. All right, that means one particular thing. One particular thing. So the word pinpoint is related to the word exact, or something being absolutely correct. No other reason. The exact role. Okay. So when we go down and look at pinpoint, here we see identify precisely, and that's our answer. Identify precisely means something that is exactly correct, and that means the same as the word pinpoint. So when you're doing vocabulary questions, context sometimes can be very, very helpful in knowing exactly what to do. Make an argument for is, of course, wrong. Describe is wrong. Understand is wrong. Identify means precisely means the same as exact, which is related to the word pinpoint. All right. Ingenuity. Ingenuity. In paragraph 2 is closest to meaning to what? Okay. And so here we have the word ingenuity right here. All right. And it says Teotihuacan's religious significance as a shrine, the historical situation in and around the Valley of Mexico toward the end of the first millennium BC, the ingenuity and foresightness. Alright, so for this question, if you don't know what ingenuity means, we have the context clue and. Okay, what that means is foresightness is related to the word ingenuity, because we have this context clue here. Alright, so if I know what the word foresight means, or foresightness, that helps me understand what the word ingenuity means. Foresight, of course, means looking in the future, or being able to look in the future at something. Alright? Now, another thing we could have done with the word ingenuity is look at the root word. Alright, we could take off the prefix in and take off the ending ity, and we're dealt with genus. Another words that other fit into that are genius also, but we can look at the root word without taking off that prefix. So we have two things that can help us. Looking forward with being able to look into the future at something having that ability, or something dealing with the word genius or genus. And so if you know your roots, you can look at that also to help you. But let's look at our answer choices. And ambition does not mean the same as being able to look in the future at something, or genius. Sincerity, no. Faith does not mean that. Cleverness. Well, to be able to look in the future and see something that's related to being clever. Also, when you're saying somebody is genius or ingenious, which are basically the same thing, that's also can mean the same as clever. So our answer here is going to be D. Question number 5. Which of the following is not mentioned in paragraph 2 as a main factor in the development of Teotihuacan? Which of the following is not mentioned? Okay? And so, when we look at this question, we're dealing with an except not least question. Okay? And this one also, we have to look at it and be able to quickly determine, is this a one-sentence except not least question, or is this a two-sentence except not least question? And remember, in the strategy portion of the course, we explain to you the difference between these two. Now, let's go up here and look at it and take a look. Our keywords and our clues. Okay, we have to look in our clues and see if we see these keywords. So we have presence of obsidian, potential for extensive irrigation, long period of volcanic activity, Teotihuacan's location on the trade route. So I'm looking for those keywords. Okay, and if I don't see it, then I know that is my particular answer. The except not least question is basically a true-false question. That's all it is. It's a true-false question. So let's go up here and see if we see our keywords. Presence of obsidian, potential for extensive irrigation, long period of volcanic inactivity, and location on a natural trade route. All right, so let's go up here and take a look. All right. We're dealing in paragraph 2. Now remember, before we get started looking for our words, remember I told you in the strategy portion that the except not least question is an exception to our rule of questions going in chronological order. Okay, it's an exception to our rule because we have these vocabulary words here, but this whole paragraph is what covers paragraph 2. So the except not least question is an exception to the things going in chronological order. Okay, so let's have a look here. And we'll see the presence of obsidian. Let's look here and see if we can find what we're looking for. We're dealing in paragraph 2, yes. Alright, well here's one of them right here. We see natural trade route, so we know that belongs. And that was choice D, so we know we see that one, that belongs. We see the obsidian resources, so we know that choice A belongs. And here we see potential for extensive irrigation, so we know that one belongs also. I don't see anything about a long period of volcanic inactivity, and so that is our correct answer. This one was pretty straightforward because we had a one-sentence except not least question. That's the easier one to be able to handle. What they normally do with the one-sentence except not least question is to try and make it difficult. They'll try to use synonym language to try and trick the student. But usually, if you have your vocabulary together, you can manage that question pretty easily by just spotting the synonym language. All right, so let's take a look now at question number 6. All right, and it says, which of the following can be inferred from paragraphs 2 and 3 about volcanic eruptions of the late first millennium BC? What can be inferred of the following? Which of the following can be inferred? So we're dealing with an inference question. An inference question. All right, now, even though this is our method for the inference question is we're trying to find the answer that must be true. That must be true. And our answer choice is going to be based upon our evidence in the passage. It must be a direct link to the evidence in the passage when we're doing this particular kind of question. So our keywords here in the question are first millennium BC. Alright, so even though it says what can be inferred from paragraphs 2 and 3 about the volcanic eruptions, okay, this right here information, because I have this specific date, that lets me know that we need to read that particular sentence. So I'm not going to waste time by going up and looking at and reading all of paragraph 2 and reading all of paragraph 3 and trying to make an inference about both paragraphs. That's not what you need to do. Let's go find late first millennium BC, and then we'll find what we need to make an inference on, and we'll save time doing this question. So many students waste time on this question, which is really unfortunate because they don't have their strategy and their tactics together. All right, first millennium BC, dealing with paragraphs 2 and 3. Here we have it right here. So I'm scanning down. I see first millennium BC. I remember seeing it because I remember doing the question for the word pinpoint and ingenuity. All right, so there it is. So that tells me that this is the sentence that we must read here to find out what we need to infer from. All right. So when I read this sentence, see the exact role of other factors much more difficult to pinpoint. Teotihuacan's religious significance as a shrine, the historical situation in and around the valley of Mexico toward the end of the first millennium BC, the ingenuity and foresightness of the Teotihuacan elite, and finally the impact of natural disasters such as volcanic eruptions of the first millennium BC. The next paragraph starts out, here's our answer right here. It starts out this last factor. So first millennium BC, that lets me know that's my keyword sentence. However, I know because I've studied the strategy and I know the strategy, and you've looked at the strategy in our strategy guide that we've given you, that when you have a keyword sentence and the next sentence starts off with this or that or those or so or now or as a result or perhaps or now, some language like that, you know that that sentence is connected to your keyword sentence, and you know that's where the answer is going to be. Alright, and so this says this last factor is at least circumstantially implicated in Teotihuacan's rise. So my inference has to come from this sentence. It must, because it starts with our magic word, and that's connected directly to our topics, our keyword sentence. This last factor is at least circumstantially implicated in Teotihuacan's rise. So let's go down and see which answer matches that information. Alright, of course this last factor is dealing with the natural disasters and volcanic eruptions. So let's go have a look at our question here. Alright, so that sentence again said it was a factor in Teotihuacan's rise. So let's just find our inference here. They were more frequent than historians thought. Our magic sentence says nothing about that, so I know it's wrong. They may have done more damage to Teotihuacan than to neighboring centers. Our magic sentence says nothing about that. They may have